Morning, everyone. Hoping you're having a great Monday. One of the things I love about working for myself is every day feels like a day that I designed. So there's no like me going to work, be like, oh, I wish it was not Monday. I wish it was Friday because I don't know I work a lot, but I enjoy what I do, but I also love my morning routine because I exercise, I write in my journal. So like when you design your life, um, that's how I want my day to be. So I don't really start working until 11 because that's after I've done all my self-care routine stuff and do these Facebook lives and do my writing and everything. I don't really count the writing as work because it feels like when I do my podcast called Your Daily Cup of Joe, which is on Spotify and Apple Music, uh, it's teaching me a lot about my life, and it gives me a time to self-reflect and realize like, okay, these are my values, these are my principles, this is what I should do with my life. Okay, this is how I should think about life. So I don't really count that as work. So I guess that's a good thing. And same thing with these Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives, depending on how you're watching this video. It gives me the ability to think out loud and also share what I know. And when I share what I know, then I'm able to retain that lesson much more, or it's going to become much more stickier. So today's lesson is about to be or to do. And they got this lesson from this book or from this biography about John Boyd, who was a colonel in the Air Force, and he worked at the Pentagon and worked on the F-16 program or something like that. Well, he wanted lightweight air fighters, but then most of the people in the Pentagon wanted bigger machines, and that's because bigger machines cost more and everything. But what John Boyd's like, no, that is not the way to do things because we're not going to be keeping up with the Russians and their MiGs. So he constantly fought the Pentagon to be like, hey, we don't want to do this and everything. We should do this. And he made a lot of enemies with generals. He one of the things that he did as a colonel in the Air Force was that when he was working on the F-16 program, and instead of going through his generals on what to do and like get them on board, John Boyd kind of skipped the line and went straight to the Secretary of Defense, the top person who makes all the decisions, and he could tell the generals like, "Hey, we're going to be doing this, so fall in line." And ultimately, John Boyd did an important thing in the sense that he prevented a lot of waste while he was in. And then also when he was out, he continued work living in, I believe, Alexandria, Virginia, which is like the same area I lived in. I think he lived like 5 minutes away from where I lived when I was living there from 2012 to 2019. And I thought the internet was going out for a little bit, but yeah, so then afterwards, he still worked at the Pentagon, and he didn't take a salary. He wanted to work on these projects for the military because he thought it was very important. It was so important, and he really didn't have a good relationship with his family. They kind of didn't have the best lifestyle. He just lived off his military pension, and yeah, but he did what was important to him, and he came up with this line when he was an instructor at flight school in Nevada, where he was telling his I think they're called cadets in the Air Force, like, hey, there comes a line, there's going to come a point where in your career where you come to a fork in the road, and you could choose to do things to be an important person, and you're going to get the promotions, you're going to have an easy life, but ultimately it's not going to lead to the best outcome. It's not going to lead to the greatest good. Or you can choose to do what's important. And if you choose what to do with what is important, then you're not going to get all the recognition you're going to get. You're going to make some enemies. You're going to let people down. You're going to upset people. But ultimately, you're doing what's important to do. So that's what today's Facebook Live is about. It's to be or to do. Do you do things to be an important person, or are you doing something to do important things? And I don't know. I feel like that hit me really hard. I was like, I heard that lesson. I'm like, oh crap, what am I doing with my life? And after reading that book, John Boyd and his biography, it made me so upset at the military, just because I could see the waste. When I was in, like, I was like, I could just like, oh, they're like, oh, we need to spend $200,000, and there's some bad incentives within the military and within the government as well, because they're like, hey, if you don't spend your budget, say you spend 10%, hey, guess what? Next year, you're only going to get that 90%. So there's an incentive for agencies and departments within the government, various parts of the government, be like, hey, we need to spend this money so we don't lose our budget the next year. And you don't know what's going to happen next year. So like, it's better be safe than sorry. So people choose to do these things, and you're like, I remember when the furloughs were happening, and was it 2013? That kind of made me want to leave the federal government as well, because I didn't really enjoy it. And then the Secretary of Defense, Hagel, comes on, and he's like, hey, we're going to do furloughs for the government. And I'm like, I got to leave. And I left before that. And it's like, and then we also had these meetings where like, oh, let's not work. Let's not fit 5 days worth of work into 4 days. Like, let's show that this is actually causing pain and everything. And it makes you just realize, like, oh, these are where people's incentives are and everything. Like, and I get it. These people work hard. They feel like, hey, it's just and everything. So they're doing what they want to do best for them. And that's kind of the thing. Are you doing something to be an important person? You're doing this because, hey, you have responsibilities, you have a family, you have these other things that you want to work on. So you're like, hey, I'm going to forget this. But because I'm forgetting that, it's going to allow me to do these other things. I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm not dealing with this. I don't like living here, working here. I can't see myself working here for 40 years. I got to do something else. And that's kind of why I went into entrepreneurship and realized, like, hey, if I want to help the people that I want to help out with their finances, and I feel like, hey, if I help you with your finances, then life is going to be better for you. And then that's going to be better for your family and everything. And that's why I also do this development coaching, be like, hey, all this is going to help you live your best life and help you do things that are important for yourself. And that's what life should be about, is doing important things and just have the satisfaction of knowing that you did the right thing. It might not be the most comfortable thing, and you face a lot of conflict and everything, because in John Boyd's case, like, he was constantly being worried about he was constantly being attacked by generals and other people, and there's people trying to attack him to like knock him down. But John Boyd was so good, you couldn't ignore him. He knew everything. He would stay in the office until 10 o'clock at night and everything, or whatever. He would stay overnight, and he loved his job loved his job in the Air Force. If you read his book, but he also made a lot of sacrifices with his family, and realized, like, and so you got to like make these choices, like, what's important? Like, hey, is it important to take care of my family, or is it important to prevent billions of dollars of waste in the government? You're like, these are really tough choices that people have to make and everything. And I hate to be in a situation like that. That's kind of why I'm doing this entrepreneurship thing. And I also realized, like, hey, if I want to do my best work, I have to take a step back. Sometimes you got to really start over. Like, okay, at age 34, 33, when I started, I was like, okay, I'm going to move back with my parents from DC, back in my small town, back in my parents' place, live with them for like 8 months, but constantly worked on my stuff so that I could do what I want to do. And I realized, like, I need to do important things. I can't do things that help me be important. Yes, I'm doing some things to help me be important, but but the end goal is like, hey, how can I give opportunities to others so that they can be better off, and when they're better off, then other things can be better off. And these are really hard choices. You realize like, hey, I'm going to go to live in Latin America. It can be very lonely at times. Like I had back spasms. Like I got medically separated from the Marines for herniated disc in my lower back, and I don't know. I had really bad back spasms. I haven't had a scenario like that for like 2.5 years, and I'm by myself. I'm like, can't really move. Thank God for Rappi, which is like Uber Eats. So you realize like, hey, like yeah, I could call it quits and go back and everything, but like I understand my why. My why is like, okay, I gotta do these things. I gotta learn Spanish so that I can learn how to translate all this content in Spanish, so then I can help more people in Latin America. I was just listening to this podcast yesterday about economic hitmans during the 70s and the 80s, that they would give these contracts, be like, hey, we're going to build this port for you, and we're going to build these roads and highways and everything, and your economy is going to grow, but that economic benefit only benefited the top 1%. So yeah, GDP grew by 4% or whatever that number was, but the people who benefited most from that growth was the most wealthy people, and they're like, oh, we're going to give you scholarships and everything to send your kids to school. And guess who got the scholarships? The people in the top positions, the generals and everything. So it makes you realize like, oh, there's a lot of problems in this world, and how can I save my size to the world to make it better? So my goal is I want to grow with Joe business, take on more financial planning clients, take on more coaching clients, build up the revenue so then I can hire more people, hire more coaches, hire more financial advisors, especially minority financial advisors. Latinos only make up 2% of financial advisors. Blacks only make up 2% of financial advisors. And the idea is that, yeah, let's get more people in here so we can help more people with their money. You take control of your money, better things are gonna happen with your life. And that's my goal. That's my dream. That's whatever I have to do to get to that dream, I'm going to go do it because it's important. It's something I'm doing it because to me, it's an important thing to do. It's not for me to be an important person. And I'm just trying to test the outer limits of my human potential and just see what I can do. And also like, not to impress other people, but to impress upon ideas and thoughts and new beliefs on what is possible for people to do. Like life is long as you know how to use it. But the key thing is, you need to know how to use life. And the way you know how to use life is you build yourself up. And that's why my coaching philosophy for self-development is you work on yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You do this, other things in life will become easier because an empty sack has a heart. An empty sack can't stand up straight. So you got to fill your mind, fill up your body with good things so you can stand up straight and handle any obstacles. And if you're choosing to do important things, that is going to be very important as well. Because when I read that John Boyd book, I realized like, hey, like when you try to do important things, you're going to upset some people. And you might not get what you want. And you might not even get the recognition. Like no one probably knows who John Boyd is and everything, except for a select few folks. But yeah, he is definitely a hero of mine. I'm glad he did what he did. And makes me realize like, hey, there's a lot of problems and we just got to focus on them and do what we can do best. So like you can't save the whole world, but you can save a slice of it. And hopefully after listening today, you can realize, okay, here are the things that I need to do to be an important person. You don't need to have everything. You just have to be satisfied with what you have. And there's a balance between getting more and being satisfied, but that's up to you and decide like, hey, what is enough, what is needed, and everything, and just realize, like, try to do things to do important things. You can do something to be an important person, but that's I don't feel like that's going to lead to the outcome that we need in this world. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought about today's lesson. And enjoy today. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Discuss something financial planning wise. Have questions about financial planning needs or personal development, just let me know, and we'll take it from there. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, if you go with Joe, you can grow with Joe, because Joe knows Joe. All right. Take care.